Sup, it's me again, and I got another mouse that I wanted to check out. It's the Zowie MiCO, M-I-C-O. Zowie, I just recently heard of them from their mechanical keyboard, Zowie Starcraft or something. Anyway, this mouse was recently released maybe in June or July in the United States. It was helped developed by the Starcraft. It's basically made for RTS and Starcraft, and which is why I was interested in it. And if you looked at my previous review, I did a comparison with the Abyssus with the Orochi. Now I'm going to do a little review on the Zowie MiCO and then also compare it to the Abyssus by Razer. Mostly just talking about StarCraft 2 and then also just a little bit of its compatibility with OS X. Anyway, just some details on the mouse. I think it's 68 grams or maybe 67 grams. The Abyssus is at 68 grams. It's basically, you can't tell the difference in weight. Very, very lightweight. 68, 67 grams is really light. If you look up most of the other mice, like a Death Adder, it's basically double that weight. Also the size. The Abyssus, I think, is a good size. However, the MiCO is an even better size for me. My hands, Asian hands, not the biggest, but I also kind of do claw grip. And the Abyssus is a small mouse, most people say, yet. Let's see if you can get a comparison. It's a little bigger, but maybe by another ½ inch or so. The MiCO is a fairly small mouse. Let's see if that gives a good comparison or not. You can see the height, maybe. Anyway, sorry if that's bad, but it's a small mouse. It reminds me of my old, like when I had, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, Logitech optical. It's basically, you know, that same form factor, real small. Just 3 buttons, left, right, middle click. This side is all plastic, and then the gloss plastic right here. Feels good. It's not rubbery, but it has good grip. Here's when I try to palm it. You see it hangs over, but then this is how I normally hold it, and it feels great. I thought the Abyssus felt really good. Zowie feels even better in my hand. I think because it's smaller, and it just reminds me of the old Logitech, and that's a really popular mouse. I think you put Logitech Mini Optical or something. Maybe not even the Mini, just the Logitech Optical mouse. For the response time, it's 500 Hertz, which I forget what it equates out to. Maybe 4 milliseconds or so, or 2 milliseconds, I think. While the Abyssus had the 125 Hertz or the 1000 Hertz option. And if you know, the 1000 Hertz doesn't work well with OS X. It makes it seem like there's acceleration or lag or something, but the 500 Hertz works perfect in OS X. Really responsive, so that's 100% of the time. You can't change that setting, which is fine. Perfect for me, especially as an OS X user. And then there's 3 DPI settings. I believe 400, 800, and 1600. I'm sorry I don't have the box handy with me right now. But the Abyssus has 1800 DPI, and I like that a lot because I used to use the Death Adder, and that's what the original Death Adder had, was 1800 DPI. But 1600 DPI is not much different at all. Still really fast responsive. It can move across a 1080p screen in just about the same distance. Do a little test again. Here's the very left of my 1080p screen. Oh, sorry. And moving this way to the right and then back. So it's just a tad bit longer, not big of a difference. So to change the DPI, you'll click both these buttons and then scroll down to, I guess, get higher DPS, or go up. And I don't know if you can tell, it went purple to 800 and then it goes red to 400. The lighting probably won't show that, but there's purple and then there's blue. Yeah, gotta love the hardware settings. I hate messing with the driver sometimes. It's a pain in the ass. That's one thing I read about before about the mouse was some people were saying they tailor the clicks to make sure they're responsive yet a little heavier. I didn't notice that they were any heavier than the Abyssus, honestly. Maybe after if I use it a bunch, but it feels the same, to be honest. But they feel good. I played a quick game of Starcraft 2, didn't have any problems misclicking or anything like that. You can hear the sound here. I'll let you listen. That's right click, left click. It doesn't feel too much heavier. Here's the Abyssus. So I think the Zowie's clicks actually feel more solid, maybe almost more satisfying, if that makes sense at all. The scroll wheel does not have a lot of tactile feel compared to the Razer's Abyssus, and I think the Razer has some of the best scroll wheels on mice, just the tactile feel and the click. But the click on the Zowie is nice. It feels just as good as the other buttons, which is because I use the middle click a lot, web browsing, closing tabs, stuff like that. But the scrolling is not as good, I don't think. People have complained about squeaking. I haven't had that yet since I just got it, but it just doesn't. You can't feel the tactility scrolling as much. It's there, but it just feels, I don't know, almost loose compared to the Razer. Other things they've worked on is lift-off distance. One thing I noted was the lift-off distance of the Abyssus is kind of high. However, it's not not as high on the MiCO. Like right here, you're fine. Same on the Abyssus, it tracks. But I noticed that on this mousepad, this is SteelSeries 4HD, it tracks perfectly, but then on this tabletop, does not track at all, like barely wants to move. While my Orochi before would track perfectly on the tabletop, the Abyssus has a little bit of trouble, but the Zowie doesn't really track at all. You can see it's kind of recessed, the sensor back there. You see that sensor, and you see how recessed back it is? That might be how it does the lower lift-off distance. I think it's set at like 1.8 or 2 millimeters. Really good. Lift-off distance isn't a huge thing for me, but it may be for some people that lift their mice up a lot. I don't, just because I use a little bit higher DPI, and you know, this is enough to get across the screen. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the Teflon Feet. The Abyssus Teflon Feet are all just like the other Razer mice. They're really soft and smooth, really smooth. And the feet on the MiCO are really small, just these 4 little tabs versus these 2, a little larger one, and then this real big base one. There's just these 4. It scrolls fine though. I didn't have any problem scrolling on my SteelSeries 4HD, and they feel smooth as well. But they're tiny, so I don't know if that makes a difference or not. But you can hear them scrolling here. I would say the Abyssus scrolls better, but there's no hindrance with the 4 tiny feet. Sounds better with the Abyssus on the mat. Feels like it's more smooth, but still no problems with that. So that's my comparison of the Abyssus and the Zowie, and just my little review on it. It's a great mouse. It was just 35 bucks. 3 DPI settings. The highest it goes though is 1600, so you make sure if that's good enough for you, because the Abyssus goes up to 3500. For those of you that like really high DPI, this is just 1600 RTS Starcraft 2 in mind, and that's more than enough for a 1080p screen. Other pros is this form factor, small, lightweight, and a good sensor, but it needs a mat. It needs a mat to track. Tabletop, shiny tabletop won't work. I'm using 4HD, works perfect, no problem. So yeah, both are solid mice, and I thank you for watching my comparison review. Take care.